Welcome back. In front of me I have a TRP Spyre flat mount road alloy mechanical disc brake caliper and rotor set. It was purchased on Amazon for $50 and the seller was cyclingdeal_USA. I did order a front, and as you can see here it says rear, so I just want to see if it fits on the front fork. So as you can see, it's still all packaged up, and I think it did qualify for expedited shipping if you have a Prime membership. And this is not in retail. As you can see, it looks like it's OEM, just comes in this package here. It does come with a 160 millimeter rotor, which I got here, but it is only a 6-bolt, and I believe I will be using Shimano's center lock rotor, so I will have to get another rotor in order to use this. And these are the contents. Well, we could take a look at the Spyre mechanical disc brake installation instructions, and that's what it says right up top. This is the standard Spyre flat mount disc brake. There's some more information on the adapter, some of the hardware information, and some of the bolt lengths. There's also a back page on this that shows some more further information. I'll just move it down a little bit. You can pause it if you want to read any of this. And here's the last bottom section of the second page for the instructions. Also included are some mounting hardware, and I'll take a look at that. And here you can take a look at the caliper itself, and there is an adapter. It says F160, so hopefully that does mean that it's for the front. And it looks like the pads are already installed, and you can tell the mount here that this is a standard Spyre and not the SLC. I think the SLC is also carbon here, or a different material. And also here the mounting hardware is a little different for the SLC. So this is the regular standard TRP Spyre. And the good thing about this is when the brakes compress, both pads on the top and the bottom move in together for even pad wear and even for the rotor. So you get compression on both sides of the rotor, hopefully evenly. So I have a front disc fork here, and it looks like it should fit if the hose line up perfectly. So even though it said rear on the bag, it should fit for the front fork. So included were a lot of screws. So there are 6 of these, and there are 2 of those. And we'll take a look to see where they would go on this. So it looks like the longer screws will be going inside here to mount onto the fork. So you have these. But these right here, I'm not exactly sure where they go. Guess got to read the instructions. Also, here's one thing to note, that right here it says F for 140 millimeters, but if you were to turn it around, the other side of the adapter, it says F 160 millimeters. So if this is pointing upwards on this side, then it's a good adapter for the 160 millimeter rotors. And if you pull these off and then mount it on another tab here, so you flip this around and mount it this way with that facing up, then this adapter also works for 140 millimeter rotors. I opted to get the 160 millimeter rotor because it's for the front of my brake, the front brake for the front of my bike, and therefore I wanted something a little stronger. It's going to be probably a little bit more rotational weight, but I think it's worth it just if you get it better braking. Also notice that there's 2 screws already in here that come with the caliper that's already pre-attached. This is a 3 millimeter Allen key. On the other side you also have this 3 millimeter Allen key. So when you turn this, tighten it, it pushes the pad inward, I believe, and that's how you set which way or how far the pads go. And let's go look at this one more time. Let's pretend it's on the bike, which is here. So if it's mounted here and you tighten, and as that happens, both sides of the pads should come in equally. Okay, as is with the pads in and some of the hardware, not including the 2 screws that mount to the fork, we're looking at 177.4 grams. Also included was this disc rotor, that's about 116.7 grams. The 2 mounting screws come in at 7.3 grams for the pair. And the whole system complete with the 2 bolts. The caliper, disc rotor, comes in at 310 grams. Okay, now it's obvious, very obvious, that these screws are actually for the rotor. So there you go, that's why there's 6 of them, perfectly for the rotor. Let me go add those on. It's going to add a little more than 310 grams. Well, all 6 of the screws are there. Let me see if I didn't tear it right. It can't be only 1/8 of a gram. So I'll take this off, take this off, and pour these out. Huh, I guess it is. Only about 311 grams. That means these screws, these bolts, are actually real light. 10 grams. Let's try it one more time. Throw these all on. 20 grams plus 112, 115 grams. You're at 136. I don't know if it's setting somewhere else. And it's coming out to be 310.8. I don't know if I could balance it so you could still see. Alright, quick quiz time. What's wrong with this picture? If you guessed it right, it's mounted upside down. I also made another mistake when installing this, is when I was putting the bolts in, I didn't tighten these down. So let's go see. These right here is a 4mm, so I'm going to go ahead and tighten this one down and tighten this one down just to make sure it gets in real snug. I guess they keep it loose just in case you want to go with a 140 or I'm not sure if you're 160. So stock it's 160, and then you could always switch it around to 140 if you want to. And then the same 4mm bolts you could use also to install on these mounts at the bottom here. So when you initially install these onto the fork, you don't have to make them too tight. So right here in the front, see it's already a little snug, so you could back it off just a little bit. And the reason doing that is because after you install this onto the fork, you may have to use this to adjust it, to adjust the position if it's fore or aft, left or right, or up or down, depending on how wide or how close your disc is on the bike. So you just kind of leave it in like this, and then you're not going to crank it down tight until you find the correct position where the disc rotor is. So if the rotor is out here, you can push it out a little bit. If it's slightly in, you can move it in just a little bit to line it up real good. So another thing to look at is where the cable enters. So it enters right here, and also there's going to be a little bit of a bend if you want to use the internal routing through the fork to pop up to the top here. So it should be okay if it just bends about this much to get in. And it looks like it fits. This is a flat mount disc brake caliper, and it fits the fork almost perfectly. So I'm actually quite happy with it. Looks real nice on the fork there. So I'm not sure if this measurement's really going to help anything much here, but you come into about, oh, this is in inches. Let me go change that out to millimeters. 39 millimeters. across. And the other thing is you just want to make sure that the spokes don't hit this. A lot of times if the spokes, you have a wide flange hub, so the hub comes out real wide and the spokes come out real wide, by the time they go in they could actually rub against this. So I've seen fellow cyclists with wheels that when they brake, the spokes hit and interfere right here. So I also, on my build, went with some bladed spokes to make them just a little bit more narrow. And now, because I have the calipers out, I'm just going to say that it's about 1.75 millimeters thick, and that's good to measure out initially, so you can check pad wear. And when you get more miles on this rotor, yeah, it's pretty consistent, about 1.75 millimeters consistent thickness. 9GF, and it should be the 160 millimeter rotor. 160-29. Not sure what the 29 is, and it is a 6-bolt disc rotor. And we look just a little bit more at this rotor. Well, there you have it. There's the contents of the TRP Spyre mechanical disc brake in 160 millimeters for flat mount. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments section below, and thank you for watching, and enjoy the rest of your day. And also, thanks for subscribing if you do. Appreciate it.